Lisa Spencer, of course, with the Indiana County Department of Human Services, and we talk with her each week about the ERAP program and get a progress update on that. This is the program for people who rent that will help them to get back to square on their rent if they're behind on their rent payments and also on your utility payments. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Friday morning.
It really is. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Lisa, how'd we do this week?
I think we did pretty well. I'm pretty excited to report to you. So we had, since last week, we had 381 applications total. That's 15 more applications that have come in since last week. We have, the best news is that we had 238 pending last week, but we were able to move 19 of those over to the approved column, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
So the ones that were pending, that was a pretty good invoice. We paid out $69,782 this past week for those 19 extra households we were able to help. So that just brings us just shy of $150,000 that we have so far been able to help renters in Indiana County with past due rent and utilities. Mm-hmm. So I'm feeling pretty excited about that.
Yeah, but that being the case, that's just a tiny, tiny percentage of what is available for people. And so we're talking like $5.5 million out there for folks who are behind on their rent or utilities. And the money is available exclusively for people who live in Indiana County and who rent. So there's still a lot of work to do there, isn't there?
There's still a lot of work to do, and I think there are still people that need to, become aware of the program so that they can apply. But what we're finding is the more I make calls to different housing agencies and to different apartment complexes, people are figuring out how to pay their rent. So I'm very encouraged by that. I'm very proud of that people have figured out how to do this. The utilities may be a different story, but it's critical. You have to be able to pay your utilities in order to maintain your rent or in order to maintain your housing. So it is going to be really important, but I'm glad that we're kind of finally turning the corner and pushing some of this money at least out to landlords and to utility companies to get people current.
Yeah. Let's speak specifically to people who are landlords, who have people who rent from them, who are behind in their rent or utilities, and see if we can't offer them a word of encouragement to get their tenants to apply for this program.
Yes. Well, actually, the landlords, I would just say to the landlords, they're able to apply. They just need to have the tenant signature. So the tenant needs to know that the landlord's applying on their behalf. Now, the stickler is the person needs to still be living in the unit, and so that's where we're finding some of our issues, particularly with seasonal renters. Mm-hmm. They're already moved out of the units, and so then the guideline is the renter still has to be living there. So that's causing a little bit of trouble for some of the landlords, but that's just part of the federal guidelines that we have to abide by.
Yeah, I guess if, especially around campus, that would be an especially difficult issue for them. If they haven't gotten to them before this past semester ended, then they could be finding themselves with no recourse.
Yes, and I think that has happened in several occasions. Because some of the IUP kids really were holding down part-time jobs while they were going to school. That's how they were paying their rent. And when COVID happened, their jobs, were taken away, and they weren't able to pay their rent. But when they're no longer in the unit, then that automatically disqualifies them. Mm-hmm. So that makes it kind of hard. We've had 100 applications that we did have to deny. We do now have 1 out of county and 2 out of state. We had applications come in from the state of Indiana and the state of Washington this week.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how all those lines got crossed, although we do receive calls from the state of Indiana once in a while when they see us online, I guess. So ICAP was generous enough to Google where they needed to go for the assistance in their respective states.
Well, that gives us a chance to talk about what ICAP is doing and what they're capable of doing in order to help people to apply for this assistance and then to help them through this whole process. And as you just demonstrated, ICAP's really willing to do whatever's necessary here, aren't they?
I'm so impressed with ICAP. I can't say enough good things about them. I know with Michelle Fott being the executive director, Vicki Allen has been incredible. Excuse me. She's been absolutely incredible through this program. Brandy Fleming is the fiscal officer over there. Lucy Walls and Randy Foster are really taking the brunt of all of the applications. So you really can't say enough. They've hired 2 other workers on to help with this, to take the influx of all of these applications. You just can't say enough about how much work they're doing and trying to help people in Indiana County. It's above and beyond, and I do think they deserve some recognition for all the work that they've done.
Absolutely. Okay, so some work needs to be done here. There's still time, but each week that goes by is another week that you don't have to get this done. For landlords who have renters who are behind on their rent or on their utilities, and for people in the situation where they are the renter who need some help, what should they be doing?
They should be calling ICAP at 724-465-2657. And as I keep saying every week, I feel like a broken record, but this is the best opportunity that people will have, to get their rent and utilities current and be able to move forward in a positive way so we can, help hopefully get families and individuals self-sustaining.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that you've said during our time here is the number that you said that were approved in this past week and the amount of money that was involved there. It can be really easy to get behind on your rent and to get far behind on your rent. It's just going to keep piling up, so this is a way to take care of that.
Yes, I think it's almost like a snowball effect. I think one time if you miss, and then things just it's like a giant snowball. It just gets bigger and bigger, and the issues get bigger, and then the late fees and the penalties and everything that occur every time you miss something, because even utilities have late fees assessed to them. Mm-hmm. So I do think it's time, for people to, really look at where they are, look at their budgets, see what's going on, get the help if they can apply and they can get approved for it, and let's move forward and try to make a positive situation so that we can move people into, self-sufficiency and being able to stand on their own 2 feet and be productive. That's really the goal, because that's when people regain their confidence again, that they can absolutely, take care of their household.
Yeah, it's like me in math class when I was back in school. Once you fall behind a little, it's not long before you're behind a lot, and there's no catching up.
Yeah, and that was my favorite subject, so bring on the math.
There you go. Bring on the English for me. Lisa Spencer, thank you so much.
All right. Have a great weekend, Todd.
You too.
Great weekend.